This month on Learning Now TV, we are talking to Kris Medlang. Kris is with Shelter, a wonderful charity where he is the L&D officer, but he is in the Learning and Organisational Development team. Now, this is very unusual that we have somebody who's actually got OD in their title. When it comes to the third sector, it's not that usual that you think about OD, but in the corporate sector, how often are you thinking about OD? There's a real crossover where actually they're not the same, they are different, and perhaps Kris can help us out with a bit of a definition of what OD is. Let's have a look. So Kris, organisation development in the third sector, a very unusual situation. Can you talk us through how Shelter came to the conclusion that that was needed?
Yeah, sure. So I think that it was, as opposed to the organization saying we want to start doing OD, it was more that a lot of work was going on in the organization, a lot of introspective work, such as an engagement survey. We've done culture web sort of focus groups to look at what sort of culture we have. And just, we have a new strategy. So there was all this sort of new work that was going on, a lot of introspection about understanding what we do. And the L&D team, or formerly L&D, now L&OD team, basically have carved out a role in supporting all this ambitious change that's happening in the organization, which has been about the way we lead, the way we conduct performance management, the way we interact across directorates and things like that. So it's been a shift from the sort of traditional transactional learning intervention, curating e-learning courses, checking compliance, to facilitating conversations, running forums, linking people that had not been linked, that should be linked in order to improve and enable one another. So it was more about seeing an opportunity and seizing it that the L&OD team have done, our business partners who are embedded in the organization, and the head of L&OD who wanted to basically raise our profile because we have a lot more to offer than that transactional sort of work.
Okay, so in a definition of organisational development for Shelter is about moving away from transactional. Talk me through, how do you define what OD is? Because this is the problem, isn't it? With organisational development, everyone has a different definition.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different understanding of what actually that work is. So for our audience on Learning Now TV, L&D practitioners in corporate roles, how can they understand, well, what is this shift? If you're just describing better conversations, why is that OD?
I think that the big key difference is that it implies change, that you're bringing change, meaningful, relevant, and wanted change. That's the difference, I would say, because if you carry on with the sort of more transactional, there's the risk of things staying the same. If you measure success by how compliant you are, or something like that, then there's no real urge or need to change because you're just concerned about mitigating risk or whatever you're doing. So I would say that is the key difference, is that an organization is like an organism. The context within which it works, so for us that would be the housing crisis, is changing. Legislation changes. The nature of the struggle that our clients go through changes. So we therefore have to change constantly. And that's what OD does, is it enables an organization to change and to do it in a deliberate way, and do it in a way where you kind of leverage whatever's available, whatever opportunities are available, whatever that's a novel offer that you're able to put out, or whether that's funding, contracts you're able to achieve. For us, that's quite important. So it's putting us in a position to not react to change, but to sort of capitalize on them.
So there's a real acknowledgement that something's shifting every day in the wider work, and how you are prepared to move that forward. So one thing that I'm aware that you have done at Shelter, which is quite unusual for the third sector, is marry together your volunteer network with your staff network with regards to L&D. Now, often in third sectors, those two things are quite separate, and certainly my own experience in Girl Guiding, we have to, staff learning is not the same as volunteer learning.
Yeah.
And I've long admired the way that you've done that sort of married those things together. What I'm hearing from you today with regards to the OD piece is that was just a natural part of a progression when you look at change, when you look at preparedness and readiness for the future, those workforces bringing them together. From our corporate viewers, I'm wondering if we can have a little bit more from you around how do you get around those silos? Because that's one of the biggest problems in a corporate world, isn't it? That you work in HR and you never speak to finance, you never speak to operations, and you're all doing your separate things. You may even have different learning pathways. How do you bring those things together, and how does OD help you to do that?
Yeah. This is an ongoing piece of work that we're currently invested in, and we're doing a lot of work around about breaking down these silos. I think one thing that I've seen has been key is that it can't be sort of dictated from a certain team, a central team, especially like in shelter, where the L&OD team potentially to some people is seen as that's a head office thing, that's a central services thing, and they're just telling us something and it doesn't really resonate and it doesn't really have any energy or momentum to carry it forward. So co-production of whatever the new ways of working, whatever the interventions are, all of the people that we're trying to support, all of our clients who are our colleagues, they are the experts in what they do, what they can deliver, and also what they need. And that's the same with relationships. So we're two things at Shelter. Publicly, I guess you could describe us as we provide services, so helping individuals who are struggling with bad housing or homelessness. And we're a campaign organization. And these are our two sort of main areas of effort in fighting in the housing crisis. These two groups have so much to gain from one another in terms of just knowledge and expertise and sort of learning to be shared. And so for us, it's to recognize where that knowledge exists and make the connection with where it can have the most impact and enable another part. I'm sorry, did I answer your question? Because
no, you totally did. What I'm hearing there is that you've got this sense of you as the facilitators for those great conversations that you talked about earlier, where you've got knowledge in one space and knowledge in another space. And OD, looking at your organisation through the OD lens means that you're seeing, if I do some good work over here, how will I explode something over there? But no, let's bring those things together. Let's make sure that the whole organisation develops, not necessarily just one silo or one manager who wants to develop their team. It's just a little bit more connected.
Absolutely. And the dream is that it becomes, and it is increasingly, but that it becomes regular. Because we're probably still in the middle of that transition where it's a novelty when it happens, and people are very proud, as they should be, that look at this co-production, look at this collaboration we've done, and we do want to shout about it. The next step is that it's embedded so that it's normal and it's expected, and it doesn't really need us anymore.
What a great place to be when you've so embedded that mindset, and OD I think is a mindset in amongst everybody that you're out of a job. Well, I hope for you it's not too soon, but at some point it will happen. So we've heard today from Kris about how OD has really supported Shelter, and I think that if you consider an organisational development mindset in your organisation, perhaps it can help you as well. Until next time on Learning Now TV, thanks very much.